Just going to check and make sure my pieces are lined up here. It looks a little bit off, so I'm just going to grab the center section there and just align it to the center post with the align tool. We'll do X and Y here, not Z. If we do Z, it's going to actually drop it down, so we'll just leave that unticked, do center and center. And that looks a little better. Let's just check our bolts while we're at it. So again, I'm just going to use the align tool here, click on the center piece, same settings, and that looks pretty good. Okay, so we'll just move up and start working on the next piece. I'm going to do this flat part right in the middle next. It's super simple, just use a box for that. So let's jump into the back view and just go grab a box. And we'll just draw one out here. It's going to go a little longer than we need and about the right height. Let's throw our shader on there. And we'll just convert it to poly. Alright, so let's just adjust it. Just going to move the top verts up slightly, and we'll just move these bottom ones up as well. Just want to pay attention to our two side pieces here because these should be touching. So I'm going to leave it maybe right there. Maybe just pull this up a little bit more. And I'm just going to make sure it's centered as well, so let's just use the align tool again. And we'll just center it on X this time for now. And let's jump into the right view. And we can't actually see this piece on the blueprint, so I'm just going to use the image and kind of judge how wide it needs to be. There's a little bit of a reveal on either end here, you can see, so let's just maybe grab the verts on the front and just pull them forward a bit. And we'll do the same with the back ones, just pull those back. And again, I'm just going to use the align tool one more time here and just center it on the X. And I think I'll leave it there for now. We might need to extend it a little bit, but we'll worry about that in a sec. Let's jump back out here into perspective, and I'm just going to grab all the faces on polygon. Just Alt drag through the center to deselect those. We'll just delete these two end pieces. We don't need them. And then we'll just chamfer down the edges here in the center. So we'll just grab the corners. Let's check our picture. Edges are fairly hard, so we'll just do a chamfer here and just use a little amount. Let's just go up a bit. Around 1.5, that should be good. And that's pretty much it for this piece. So let's just exit edge, throw the gray shader on. And we'll just move on to the next piece, which are these cylindrical pieces on either end. So you can probably just use a simple cylinder for that. So let's go into the back view again, and we'll just draw one out here. So let's go grab one. Draw it out. Looks about right. So let's give it some height. Let's also make sure it's centered top to bottom here for our other piece. So let's use the align tool again. This time we're going to do it just on the y-axis. And let's put our material on there. And we're fairly close on the radius. Let's just maybe make it 23. The height we'll do manually. I'm just going to get rid of the height segments, and let's take the sides up to maybe 30 again, just so it's somewhat smooth. And that looks pretty close. Let's go into the right view, and we'll just extend this. So let's just move this back. And I'm going to convert it to poly, and then just grab the verts on the front here and just pull them forward. Like that. And then we'll go to polygon, just select all the polys. Alt drag through the center. Just want the two end caps selected here. And we'll just control click edge and then just give this a chamfer. And again, I'm going to go up to around 1.5 for that. I think that's pretty close to what we need here. So exit edge, let's go into isolation mode for a sec. I think we're going to need some smoothing groups again. So let's just zoom in here, grab an edge on the chamfer, just ring it. Control click polygon, just give it a group number. And we'll do the same thing on the back, just to smooth things out a bit. Alright, exit polygon and chuck our gray on, and we'll exit isolation mode, jump into the back view, and we'll just shift drag a copy over on the X to the other side. Copy it, and just check our placement here. That looks pretty good. Let's take a look at perspective. So to make sure everything's lining up correctly. And we might want to make this a little bit wider, but I'm going to leave it for now. We'll start working on the next piece, which is this part right on the side here. I'm just going to do a save. Now that's done. And let's jump back out to the right view for this. So there's a couple ways we could do this piece. You could draw this with a spline if you want to. You could use a plane. I think I'll just use a box. It's probably going to be the fastest way. So let's just grab a box and we'll just draw one out here. Again, that's about the right height and width. Something like that. Just give it some random height, and let's just convert it to editable poly right now. And we'll just quickly adjust our verts. I'm just going to move the two front ones over and the back ones over just to match the bottom edge there. And let's just grab the four top ones and we'll just scale these in on the X to get the taper. Might also move them up just slightly like that. And then we'll jump into the back view one more time and let's just move this whole piece over to where it needs to be. Just going to line it up right there. And let's just get rid of these. We'll just move the four right ones over just to thin it up a bit. Alright, so back in perspective, let's go to polygon. I'm just going to drag through the bottom, grab all the faces, then deselect the side ones. We just want that bottom one selected. We're going to delete that because we don't need it. And then we'll just select the two top edges up here on the corners. Jump back into the right view and we'll just chamfer this down so it matches this curve here. Alright, so chamfer, we'll crank this way up. Let's go fairly high. We'll go like 15 or 16 or so. Hit apply and then we'll just lower this down on the second one. Zoom in here so you can see. And you basically just want the verts to be somewhat evenly spaced. So I'm just going to get it maybe like that. And let's just say okay there. We have a bit of a flat spot here. Let's take a look in perspective. Okay, we might want to add an extra edge in here, so I'm just going to grab these two edges. I just do a connect with one edge right in the center. And then we'll just go to vertex, and I'm just going to grab those two verts on that new edge and just pull them out a little bit just to kind of smooth out the curve a little bit. Alright, just like that. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then we could do it manual on the back. We could probably just cut this in half and just copy it over. So let's just go to edge, and I'm just going to drag right through from top to bottom. Get those four edges, and we'll do a connect here, right in the center. Then we go back to polygon, just make sure you don't have back facing turned on, and then drag through all the polys on the left. Delete them. Exit polygon, we'll just put a symmetry on this, on the x-axis. If it doesn't show up, just hit flip until you see it like this, and then we'll just convert this back to editable poly. Go back to edge, we'll just take out our center edge loop here. I'll do this in perspective so you can see a little easier. So with that loop selected, we're just going to hit Control Backspace, remove it. And we might want to smooth these out even more, so let's just grab these 5 edges on the front and the 5 on the back. Just those 10, and we'll just do another chamfer here just to kind of roll it over a bit better. And usually when you're doing this, it's a good idea to kind of have your edges evenly spaced so it's nice and smooth. You can see it's a little bit off here, so I'm just going to get it kind of close, and we'll just say okay. And I think that's going to be smooth enough. Let's check our reference. And yeah, they're pretty rounded over, so that should work out. So we'll just chamfer down the front and back edges. So let's go to polygon, just grab the face on this side, control click the one on the other side, control click edge, and let's just go into wireframe, hold alt, just deselect the two center bottom edges, and we'll just chamfer everything else down here. So chamfer again. Let's tighten this up a little bit. Around 1.2, 1.3 should be cool. Say okay, exit edge. Let's chuck on the blue shader for a second. And I'm also going to go into isolation mode again with Alt Q. And I think we're going to need some smoothing groups here. Yeah, we are. So let's go back to edge. We'll just start on the chamfer here and do it the same way we've been doing. Get a poly selection, just assign a group number. And we'll do the same thing on this side. Give it a different number. And then in the center here, I'm just going to smooth these down too. So we'll grab a center edge, ring it, control click polygon, and just give it another number. And then exit polygon. And this is a fairly extreme curve, but that doesn't look like it's too bad, so I think I'm just going to leave it like that. It's smooth enough. So that takes care of that piece. Let's throw the gray shader on and just jump back into the back view, exit isolation mode. Make sure everything's in the right place, looks good. So I'm just going to center the pivot on this. So let's go into the hierarchy tab, hit effect pivot only, centered object, and then turn it off. And we'll just shift drag a copy over to the other side where we need it. So shift and drag on the X, copy, and we'll just make sure we have it kind of positioned where we need it. And that looks pretty good right there. So that takes care of the top, nothing too complicated. Everything's looking like it fits pretty good, so we'll leave it like that. Let's do another save, and we'll just move on to the next piece. Just get our panel out of the way here. while we're at it, and let's take a look. So we're pretty much getting up close to the main part here. Just a couple more pieces to go on either side. We have these huge cylindrical pieces and these two massive bolts, so I think I'm going to do these pieces next. They're super simple. It's just basically a cylinder. Let's take a look at our reference though, just to make sure we don't miss anything. Let's try this angle. Yeah, pretty simple. Alright, so back into the right view, hit F3 so you can see our prints, and let's grab our two pieces here we just made and just hide those for now. Hide selection, and we'll start working on this. So let's go grab a cylinder again. Just going to drag one out here in the center. It's about the size we need. Give it some height. Radius looks pretty close. Let's just make that maybe 55. The height doesn't matter. We can do that manually. Let's actually jump into perspective and see how smooth this looks. Alright, we have 30 sides here. I'm just going to crank it up even higher. Let's just go all the way up to 50, just to make sure it's nice and smooth. And then I'm going to jump into the back view and just move it over into position. So let's just shove it over here. And maybe align it right there for now. And we'll convert it to poly. And then just grab the verts on the left, pull them over. That looks good. So let's just chamfer the edges quickly. So we'll grab both faces again, control click edge. Let's get rid of this X-ray view. Just going to throw the material on. Chamfer again. And I believe these have pretty hard edges as well. So we'll just do this a little bit more than 1. Or maybe around 1.3, 1.4. Should be fine. And then let's just give it some quick smoothing groups while we're at it. So let's just grab an edge right here. Same deal, just get a poly selection and give it a number. Do the same on this side. Turn off our edges of F4 for a second, just take a look. And that's looking a little wonky. You can kind of see we're losing the hardness of this edge here. So let's maybe get a poly selection on the outer faces. And I'm just going to hit clear all down here and then just assign a new number to it. I'll turn off poly and see if that kind of helped. That looks better. You can kind of see that hard edge, and that's what we're looking for. So yeah, that pretty much takes care of this piece. Alright, so back into the back view, and we'll just copy it over again to this side. And if you wanted to, you could just wait until you have all the stuff built on one side and copy all over if you want to after, but I'm just going to do it singly, piece by piece. Alright, so let's right click on hide all, just make sure our pieces are where we want them. Just want to touch in the side but not sticking right into it, so that looks good. Check this one out. Just like that. And then we'll just start working on these two big bolts here. So let's take another look. Can't see much from this angle, so I'm just going to use the other one. So yeah, it's basically just a huge bolt with a hole in the center. And you can leave the hole out if you want to. If you want to save some time, you can just maybe recopy a bolt we've already made and just scale it up. But I'll show you how to put the hole in it in case you want to do that. Let's just save before we get started though. So we'll just head back to the right view one more time. Let's grab all our pieces here and just hide them. And we'll start working on the bolt. So the first thing I do is just grab a cylinder again and just draw one out that's about the size of this bolt. Just give it some height, and let's take our sides down to 6. So we have our bolt shape. Let's go into X-ray mode again, Alt X, and we're just going to tweak our radius here. Get it close. Looks like about 34.5. Should be fine for that. The height we can do manually, so we can just leave that. And I'm just going to use this kind of as a template to trace my line. So I'm going to go into the shapes panel, just grab a line, and I'm just going to turn on my vert snaps again and just trace this by clicking on each point all the way around. Say yes when I ask you if you want to close it. And then we can just grab our cylinder and delete it. We don't need it for now. And the reason I'm using the cylinder as a template is because if you just go in and use a circle shape, you actually can't get a 6-sided circle. If you lower your interpolation steps down to 0, it'll be 3-sided, and if you go up to 1, it'll be 8-sided. So this is kind of a workaround for that. Alright, so we'll just grab a circle now and just draw one out in the center here. That matches that size. Let's turn off our snaps, and I'm just going to align this to our splines. Let's go to the line tool, just click on our other line. This time we'll do all 3 of them, center and center. And the radius looks good pretty much right there, so say 5.4. That should be cool. And then we're going to attach these together, so let's just right click on this and convert it to an editable spline. Click on attach, click on the line, make it one piece, turn off attach, and we'll just put a shell on here to get some thickness. And let's jump out into the back view quickly. I'm just going to pull this over to where we need it to be. Just over here for now. Just going to crank this up a little bit. And let's convert it to poly. And then we're going to just trash all the other faces here. So we'll just drag through, grab everything on the outside and the right side and just delete them. Just so we're working with a single planar face again. And the reason I'm doing that is because we're going to have to connect this up and create some different topologies. So I just want to make it as quick as possible. Alright, so let's maybe grab this vert here and this one and we'll connect them. And let's maybe turn off vert and just go to cut. I'm just going to start on the top of the circle here on the vert. Just click and cut it up to the top edge. Right click, do the same at the bottom. Just cut it down to the center. Right click. And I just want to make sure we're not going to have any problems when we try to chamfer some of our edges down, so that's why I'm doing this. But I think that should work, so let's go back into the back view. Throw another shell modifier on. Let's just crank this up a bit. I'm just going to move it back. I'll just crank it up until it's about the width we want. Looks like about 26 or 27 should be cool. And I'm going to convert it to poly now. Alright, just stick it right there. And we're going to have to clean this up a little bit. So let's go into isolation mode, Alt Q. Just going to throw the blue shader on so you can see. And we're going to have to add some edges here. You can see it kind of messed up when it shelled. Didn't keep this edge, so let's just add it back in. So I'm just going to go to vertex, grab the vert on the right side of the circle, and this one over on the edge, and connect them. Do the same thing at the back. Actually, let's maybe just delete this back face. I don't think we want our hole to go all the way through, so let's just get rid of these three faces on the back side. Delete those, and I'm just going to go to border, grab the border on the inside of the hole and just push it back a little bit on the X so it's not so deep. And then I'm going to hit cap down here just to cap that hole. And then I'm going to grab the back face and cap that as well. We just want to have kind of a back face to that hole there so it doesn't go all the way through. And then we'll just continue our lines here. So let's go back to cut. And we'll just connect this vert up here to the one at the bottom. Click, you can turn your snaps on if you want to. And we'll just go across this way as well. Vert to vert. And then turn off cut. And I'm not going to turbo smooth this, but I just want to have a clean mesh. So that should work out fine. So let's just chamfer down some of the edges. So I'm just going to grab a corner edge up here. Let's turn off our snaps. We'll do a ring on this. And let's alt click this one, get rid of it. And this one, you don't need to do those. And we'll just chamfer these down a little bit. Let's go maybe around 1.6. Say okay to that. And we're going to have some triangle faces down here. So let's go to vertex and target weld. And we'll just weld this over to here. And this one over to here. And we'll do the same on the back, just weld this down to here and this down to here. If we don't do that, when we chamfer the outer edge, it's going to screw up, so we'll just clean it up first and we'll go back to polygon. Just going to turn on ignore back facing here, and we'll just grab the front four faces and the back four faces. Control click edge, and then we'll come around to the front here, turn off ignore back facing, hold alt and just drag through, deselect everything on the front and back that we don't want, and we'll just do the borders. So chamfer again, let's tighten this up a little bit. Around one looks cool, so we'll say okay to that, and then we'll just do the ones around the hole here. So let's go back to polygon. Just going to grab the four faces on the front, control click edge, and then we'll just hold alt and just drag through, deselect everything that's not around the inside of the hole here. So like that, just make sure you don't have anything on the back. 28 edges, and then we'll just chamfer this separately. Tighten it up a little bit. That looks good. And let's just do the inside of the hole while we're at it. So we'll grab that face, control click edge, and just chamfer this a little bit smaller. Like that. And that should take care of the bolt. We might need some smoothing groups. Let's take a look. Yeah, we do. So let's go back to edge and just grab these edges here. Get a poly selection, just give it a group number. That should be smooth enough. I'm not going to worry about the outside face. I wanted to have kind of hard edges, so I'm just going to leave it like that. And that takes care of the bolt, so let's just throw our gray shader on. We'll exit again. Just going to right click and unhide all for a second. And it's facing the wrong way, as you can see, so let's just go to rotate. Just make sure you have your angle snaps turned on. I'm just going to spin this 180. And then we'll align it to our cylindrical piece. So let's just click on the line tool, click on this piece. We'll do all three center and center, and okay. And then we'll just pull it out. And we just want it sitting on the outside like that. Alright, so let's jump back into the back view and just copy it over to the other side. Alright, shift drag on the X, copy it. Just give it a rotation of 180, or you can use mirror if you want to flip it. So 180. And just make sure it's sitting up against the outside. Like that. Let's just check that out in perspective. Looks good, and if you want to, you can give these a bit of random rotation. I think I'll just leave them straight for now. So that takes care of that part. We're going to have to move up into the center. Next, we'll start creating the box here. And let's just do a save before we get started though, just in case we have a crash. So save as, just save another copy. So let's jump into the back view for this, and we'll just start creating the box. And it's pretty simple. It's basically just a rounded over box. So we'll just start with a box because that makes the most sense. Let's go grab one. And we're just going to draw one out here. I'm going to try to follow the inside line here. This outer line is actually the back extruded part here, so we just want to be careful of that when we drag this out. So let's start maybe right there. Just drag one out, give it some height, and we're going to have to tweak this probably pretty heavily anyway, so don't worry about getting it perfect. Just get one in that's about the right size, and then just convert it to poly. And we'll just start tweaking some of the verts here. So I'm just going to grab the top four and just move them up a bit. And we'll do the same thing down here. Make sure they're in the right spot. Let's move these out slightly, and those ones look pretty good right there. So let's just go to edge. I'm going to drag through and grab all the edges, or you can hit Control A, and I'm just going to hold Alt and just drag top to bottom, deselect those, and left to right, deselect those. We just want the four corner edges selected, and we're just going to round them over with chamfer. So let's zoom in here, and we'll chamfer. Crank this way up. We're probably not going to get it to match exactly, but we'll go up fairly high. Let's go up maybe around 10 or 11 on the first one. We'll hit apply and then just lower it down for the second one. Again, you want to keep these kind of even if you can, so maybe around 3 or 4 on the second one. And as you can see here, we have an inset detail, which is actually the sides here, this trim piece that goes around. So let's just grab the front face with polygon, and we're going to inset this. Alright, we'll crank this up, and we might have to make some manual adjustments, so I'm just going to get it fairly close. I'm going to go up just so the sides match, so about 12.3 or so. Hit OK, and as you can see on the reference image, the sides are actually quite a bit thicker than the top and bottom, so we can either move these manually, but I think I might just try to scale this poly, so let's go to scale. Just going to scale up slightly on the Y, just a bit, and you just want to make sure your corners aren't getting too screwed up. Zoom in here, and that looks okay. It doesn't match the print, but that's no problem. We'll just check it out in perspective and make sure it's not too wonky looking. Alright, so let's exit polygon for a second. I'm just going to change shaders so you can see better, and we'll just zoom in here. And this part is really the focal point of the model, so we want to make sure we don't screw it up. That's what people are going to be looking at, so I think that's doable, and that'll work. So let's go back into the right view for a sec and just adjust the length. So let's just pull our whole piece forward until it matches the front edge, and then we'll just grab the verts on the back and just pull those back. And I'm going to actually go right back here and let it intersect the cylindrical shape. So just pull back like that for now. And we also have that extruded piece there, which you can see right here. So easiest way to probably create this is just to copy some faces off. So let's go to quick slice, and I'm just going to cut right where this edge is, straight up and down. And then we'll just grab all these faces back here, and we'll detach these. And we don't want to do an element or a clone, so just untick both of those, hit OK, and then just exit polygon. That's just going to break these faces off into their own object. So we'll jump back into the back view, and I'm just going to throw a shell on here, and we'll just crank it down a little bit. That piece is fairly thin, so let's just go maybe around 5 on this. And just again, make sure you have straightened corners ticked on, just to make sure there's no weirdness. We'll check it out in perspective to make sure. Take another look at our image. Okay, so we're fairly close, and I think that'll work. So we're just going to get rid of what we don't need. So let's just convert this piece to an editable poly. And we'll just grab an edge up here. I'm just going to ring around that. Control click polygon to get the poly selection, and we'll delete it. Don't need it. And let's actually exit polygon, grab our front box for a second, and we'll jump inside the right view. I'm just going to go into wireframe, and I'm just going to grab the verts here and just push them in a little bit inside that new piece. And you can see there's some at the back here, so I'm just going to grab those and just hit delete, get rid of them. So it'll just be sticking into our piece here just a little bit. Just want to make sure you can't see the end of it in the crack there. Alright, so that's good. So exit vertex, grab the other piece again, and we also don't need the interfaces here, so let's just do a ring on these. Control click polygon, and we'll just trash those as well. Just want to kind of optimize the geometry. And take one more look, make sure it's fitting fine, and because we copied the faces off, it should fit perfectly, which it looks like it is, so that's good. So let's just do some chamfers quickly. Alright, so back to edge. I'm just going to do both of these at the same time, I think. So we'll just loop on those and chamfer. And one actually looks like it might be good, so I'm just going to leave that and hit OK. And then we'll just quickly give this some smoothing groups. So let's maybe go into isolation mode to make it easier. And if you wanted to, you could just grab the border here on the inside of the hole and just shift drag it on the Y bit just to give it a little bit of an edge, which might be a good idea just in case you do end up seeing in there somehow. So we'll do that, and then we'll just apply some quick smoothing groups. Let's ring, control click polygon, give it a number. Do the inner one as well. So these guys here. Alright, give it a different number. Let's just turn off our edges for a second. The inside is going to need some, so let's just throw a quick one on there. And we'll just check out the outside. And it's looking a little rough right now, so we can try it. I don't think it's really going to work, but we'll try. So we'll just ring around here, get a poly selection. I'm just going to put these on a group. Let's hit clear all first, and then just apply number, exit polygon, and just take a look here. It might be a little bit weird. And it's not perfect. You can see it's a little bit wonky, so I think I'll leave it for now. We might want to come back and change that. I don't know if it's going to be ideal, but we'll leave it now. We'll just start working on this piece up here. So just going to take a look at the image again. You can see the front's actually pushed in a little ways, so let's just do that. So we'll just grab the front face. I'm just going to do an extrude here, hit OK, and then just push it back in on the Y to create that inset. So let's exit polygon. We're going to have to do a little bit more work to this piece before we can actually start working on the inside details here. So let's just do a save, and then we'll just continue on.